In 20 years of serving hundreds of clients selling their properties, some of the same questions and issues kept coming up. And I saw that there was a need to start addressing those questions earlier in the process. And I really wanted to focus on serving that need too.
Welcome back to NextGen by NuCare, a podcast for senior living providers looking for solutions to improve their business and take ideas from thought leaders across the industry. I'm Joel Moyer and I'm the host. I'm welcoming Mike Collins from Senior Care Mike today. Mike is going to be talking about how he helps providers looking to grow their business and those looking to sell their business. He's also going to provide us insights from over 30 years in the senior living business. Good morning, Mike, and welcome to NextGen by NuCare.
Hey, Joel. Great to be with you again this morning.
So, Mike, we've known each other for probably almost 30 years now, and spent a lot of time having these same conversations, and just thought it'd be great to share some of your thoughts, some of your ideas, and perspective of the industry live here on the conversations we usually have over a drink or two. So again, welcome. I'm excited to talk about everything we've talked about before and probably some new things you have going on. So let's get started. How did you get started in senior living?
Wow, that's a good question. And it's always a matter of how far back do I go, actually. It's a long story, actually, but I'll try to keep it tight here. So I've been involved with real estate since I was literally in high school, family business. And my father got involved with selling a small group home for old people. This is back in the mid-'80s. And it wasn't called assisted living back then. Senior living wasn't really a topic. But at about the same time that he did that as a commercial real estate agent selling all kinds of properties, he learned about this type of property. And about the same time, my grandmother, she really needed some help. She was living home alone. She didn't want to go to a nursing home, but she really needed some care. And my parents just had a light bulb moment, a classic entrepreneurial moment where they saw a need and they wanted to meet that need. And so in the town where I was born, Monroe, Wisconsin, they built a little 8-bed assisted living facility. And that was the start. And that was 1988. I didn't exactly join them then, although I was a CPA in training, so to speak, and helped them a lot with the behind the scenes things with their business, and eventually joined them full time in the early 90s. So that's how it got started.
Well, yeah, your story and my story are very similar in terms of having parents that brought us into the business, got us started. My mom being the nurse practitioner and saw this group home 8-bed opportunity here in Wisconsin, and started growing it at a very similar time frame.
Absolutely. In fact, there was a time, I know, when we had a facility on the end of a street and you had a facility on the other end of the same street. We were not exactly competitors. We were friendly senior living providers back then, serving a little bit different niche, but didn't even know each other back then, but we were just up the street from each other, at least in one city.
That's very interesting how that evolved over time. And then then as time grew on and our parents, kept growing their businesses, and we joined forces with them more directly in the business. And then, how do you explain your continued passion for the business and wanting to continue down that path, even when your parents had started to exit the business?
Gosh, another great question. When we sold our company in 1999, right around 2000, I wondered what I would do next. We reached a point of growing the company where it was, our family, our parents in particular, reached a burnout stage. like I've seen with many other owners in this space, it's a challenging business. It's a very rewarding business, but burnout is a real thing for a lot of people, and they burned out. And so we decided to sell then. And yeah, I was wondering what I was going to do next. But to answer your question and circle back to that, I think a lot of what kept me in the business was the contacts I had made, the friends I had made. I mean, you're one of those people, and you know many of the other people I'm probably thinking of right now who were still in that business. And they started asking me questions. Hey, how did you do this? How did you do that? And that really began my next ventures of helping people solve problems related to their senior living business. And so I enjoyed the people, I enjoyed the mission, and I wasn't going to venture too far from it. So that's what kept me around.
No, that's great. I remember sitting at a conference with you in Phoenix, Arizona years ago, and senior living, assisted living was just starting to really hit the national scene. And there was a couple of companies that went public, and there were some big receptions and other things going on, and we were just a couple of small town guys from Wisconsin um, taking part in it. It was pretty exciting at that time, and we've seen this continue to evolve over the years. From 2000 on, and you've went from being part of the provider role to consultant, and then you created a Senior Care Realty, and really saw the niche or the need, as you said, with um, operators who struggled and who may be looking to sell, but really didn't have a strong business sense. Most operators in our world, providers, have big hearts, and they care for people, and they love people, and they do all they can to make sure that people get the right care and services. But on the back end, they don't always have the business operations um, clean in a way that's simple to sell. So tell me how you came up with the idea of Senior Care Realty and progressed with that over the years.
Yeah, that was another kind of happy coincidence, I guess. I was very involved with the Wisconsin Assisted Living Association at about the time we exited the world of being an operator. I actually had been serving as president right at that time. And so a lot of people, I had some visibility, and I had to announce that we were actually exiting the assisted living business while I'm the president of this trade association for assisted living. And that was not a problem. It was just kind of ironic, I guess. But some of the people that I was connecting with, again, asked me that question. How did you sell? We didn't even know you were selling. And uh, and that's an important thing for many senior living providers. They want to keep a sale confidential. They don't want to disrupt operations. They don't want to alarm staff or residents needlessly or prematurely. And I've experienced that with many clients over the years. So somebody came to me quietly and said, "Could you help me sell my property?" And seriously, that's how it happened. And I still had my real estate license from back in the high school days, dusted it off and said, "Sure, I can help you." I had just gone through this. We had worked with an advisor who actually, I learned how not to be an advisor by some of the things I experienced with that advisor that didn't specialize in our niche. And so I just started applying my um, lessons learned through the School of Hard Knocks, helping that one client, which led to another and another and another. And eventually, yeah, I did form and found Senior Care Realty, and developed a team of other advisors that specialize in this niche, helping people walk through that sale process um, confidentially and prepared. As you said, Joel, so many people exit the business unprepared, not thinking about an exit. So a lot of times we work with clients, and we'll start the process years in advance of a sale, and we really hold their hands through that entire thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you continue to evolve your position, your role, um, and then you decided to exit or sell your company to your employees.
Move on again. Yes, yes. Well, Um, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, and starting things, like for many of us, that's the thrill. That's exciting. And as much as I enjoyed 14 or 15 years as an operator in assisted living, 20 years running a real estate agency, serving the senior care niche, I was ready for a new challenge. And that's exactly what happened. I reached a point about 5 years ago where I thought, I'm ready for a new challenge. I'm ready for something different. I didn't want to exit too far. I just wanted to try some new things. And so my team that was still very, very motivated and excited to go to work every day helping people sell properties, they took over. And Darren Dudgeon, one of my early employees who became a partner and is now the CEO and owner of Senior Care Realty, I still stay very closely connected to today. But yeah, I decided I wanted to move on and start addressing some of those other needs that I saw people have over those 20 years. In 20 years of serving hundreds of clients selling their properties, some of the same questions and issues kept coming up. And I saw that there was a need to start addressing those questions earlier in the process. And I really wanted to focus on serving that need too. So that's, yeah, why I'm doing what I'm doing today, at least in part, is helping people, get ready for that sale or even get started. Going back even further, how do you get in with the idea that one day you are going to exit?
No, I've been very fortunate to partner with you guys even more recently with Darren and his team now on a number of transactions that are actually getting ready to close. So that's pretty exciting. Those guys do a wonderful job. And then, evolving now, Mike, tell me more about what your role is now, what you're up to, and how you're helping people in a new way.
I'm still, through some partnerships, an owner and investor in senior living property. So I keep my attention and my activities very connected to senior living. But yeah, I've been doing a lot more advisory work outside of the real estate agent role. I started a blog years ago called seniorcaremike.com. And I did that during my Senior Care Realty days, mostly because I was just fascinated by how the online world was evolving 15 years ago. Put up that first blog, basically answering questions for people. And they would send me a question. I'd put it on the blog, the answer, the question and answer. And I still do that today. But over the course of 15 years, it has certainly evolved, and it's making another evolution very soon, really launching it into more of a formal um, online school, helping people with, again, all of these questions, whether they're getting started, whether they want to maximize value, whether they want to exit, whether they want to invest, or whether they're a real estate agent, wondering how the heck do I work with this type of property? This is unique. It's not something I'm used to. So I'm really becoming much more of a trainer and coach rather than a day-to-day real estate agent when it comes to these properties. And that's what I'm up to today.
So tell me what let's break down those different segments. So first you have some of the existing owner operators who don't have immediate intentions to sell, but they want to, maybe improve their back end operations, really try to make this from a passion into a long term business operation. What are a couple of key things? What are the top two things you would like to pass on to operators? We have a lot of operators that owners and operators that watch these podcasts, and what are the top two things you could give them?
Well, and I'll just back up a moment too. Joel, you mentioned that so many people in this business really come into it with a heart to serve their market, and they do a great job with that. But a lot of times they may or may not bring the business side of an operation to the forefront. And any kind of business, and including senior living businesses, need to evolve and put some of those pieces in place if they're going to continue to be successful, if they're going to grow, and certainly if they're going to exit. So the number one thing that I see smaller providers in particular struggle with is just keeping up with their books. And I'm a CPA by training, so this stuff comes naturally to me, and I guess maybe I geek out on that a little more than others might, but I have seen way too many operators get way behind in keeping up with their finances, trying to do it all themselves and really not knowing exactly how it works, and not being able to tell the story of their property and how it performs through their financial statements. Now, for a lot of people that are in senior living, they might think, well, I don't care about that. I want to take good care of my residents. I agree with that. But if someday you're going to sell, or if you're just going to refinance your property, you need to be able to present financial statements to, investors or lenders, or whomever, to help make that happen. So that's one thing. And the other thing, second thing would be very similar to that, is just systems in place. The entrepreneur type that gets into this, who may have come into business from being an employee somewhere else, sometimes doesn't think in terms of systems and delegation and putting a business in place that they can exit from. And so those are two of the main things I coach people about.
Yeah. So, going down that path, I had a recent guest on my podcast, Stephen from Icon Financial, and they specialize in senior living. That's all they do. And I highly recommend it. We started rolling out our communities and ownership groups with them, and it's been wonderful. Just to have somebody who understands this business, and like you said, whether it's you're looking to exit or you're looking to grow, you have to be able to show outside financial advisors, banks, and whatnot, what your operations truly look like in a standardized format, and it's critical.
Absolutely. And even just to manage day to day, I often use the metaphor of an airplane dashboard. You've got your airspeed, your attitude indicator, your altitude, and without those things, you may have a very unsuccessful flight if you don't pay attention to those. And likewise, in your assisted living facility, there's certain numbers, key metrics that can really tell a story and help you know what's going on. It's so hard to see what's going on when you're on the inside yourself. And so sometimes having that outside advisor, or at least the financials that are objective, that you could see how trends are going, can make all the difference. But it starts with having good, reliable, current information.
Yeah, and it's pretty exciting that opportunity now is starting to integrate with those systems that you talked about. Having the systems, the technologies that can truly automate some of the former manual processes, um, and then having that data flow into dashboards and into your financials more automatically, so you can see information in live time is really exciting as the things have evolved. And I think it's become even more necessary and post COVID, where labor rates have skyrocketed, construction costs have skyrocketed. um, it's a little more difficult to do business now, and you really do have to watch things a little bit closer, watch your budgets, make sure you're getting fair rates, providing value added services. So following COVID over the last 5 years, as you've been doing this coaching, um, what are a couple of things that you've seen change dramatically and become more critical for operators?
Well, since COVID and during kind of the pandemic, the immediate aftermath, is any provider out there, you ask them, what was the challenge? It was staffing. It was payroll costs. We all were subject to some of the inflation related to labor costs that put a real squeeze on many operations. It drove some out of business. And so this gets back again to being able to monitor that, not only seeing inside your own facility, but seeing what's going on in your marketplace to make sure you're competitive, so that you can attract the right staff, keep the right staff, and know that you can afford the staff, balancing that off with revenues and so on. So that was a big thing, of course, staffing and inflation. The other, just since COVID, has been just a real shift in some of the dynamics of the market. We've seen financial markets also change significantly. Interest rates, construction loans, there's a lot less development still going on at the moment than there has been prior to COVID, prior to some supply chain issues, prior to the shoot up in some construction costs. So many facilities that might have struggled with occupancy some time before are really starting to see some light at the end of the tunnel, or even experiencing some waiting lists now. But it's still very difficult to build a new facility that can be financially feasible at the moment, too. It certainly is happening, but it's a real challenge. So those are a couple of things since COVID, just keeping up with costs and the dynamics of that. sorting it out and keeping your head above water. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really interesting. I've had 3 recent conversations with um, CEOs of some national providers who have uh, grown over the years through development and who have now put their development completely on hold because the cost of construction is, averaging over $300,000 a bed. And it's really difficult to open an empty building and have that kind of real estate expense when, as you can go out and find some really great opportunities for significantly less than that, um, where properties are already cash flowing. Um, that may be a little bit older, but you can put some dollars in and truly find some opportunity with less risk than a new development as well. So it really truly is a very unique time we're in right now in terms of truly an opportunity to sell. Um, we're in the middle of our company, NuCare is in the middle of 5 real estate transactions right now, all acquisitions. We have a development pipeline in a couple of states, but that's going to be slow. Um, and the acquisitions of good properties are a great opportunity right now. And I know we had that discussion, I don't know, a couple of months ago about the prices um, on good properties that aren't between a rock and a hard place trying to sell. And those, I was probably a little more skeptical about some of those prices than I am now. A couple of months later, even how my view has changed, where $200,000 plus per bed is very acceptable because of new construction costs and because of the risk with development and new construction. So, you planted that seed and said that you're working with some clients who are getting to that point, and we have a number of operators who've been in this business a long time and survived COVID and have gotten themselves restabilized, but they're at that age, possibly baby boomers who are looking to just step back and move on and get out of the day-to-day grind of operating communities. Um, and I think you told me directly that you're truly seeing that, and that opportunity is truly going to open up a little bit more because there's more buyers that used to be developers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. And you're right that many sellers have been reluctant to sell during the challenges of pandemic and again the immediate aftermath of it because their properties weren't performing. And there are so many small business, family business, owner operators of assisted living facilities, still a very fragmented industry with lots of small businesses out there. And many of the people I've worked with over the years, they're selling not because of some financial reason or some analysis they've done that way. It's a lifestyle decision. Just like you said, they're a baby boomer and their neighbors have now relocated to Florida in the winters and they'd like to do that too, And so it's time. It's just time. And so, but they've been waiting for the market to come to a more stable point. And so, yeah, there's many more people that are finally willing to step into that. A year or two ago, there was still a lot more troubled assets, those properties that did not survive the pandemic well, did not manage through the staffing, or were just unfortunate in their timing. We have a building that we own, and we opened an expansion of that building 6 weeks before COVID hit. And so we survived, but it was not fun. It was not easy. I mean, nothing is fun about COVID at all. But we had some real challenges, and there are many others out there like us that weren't so fortunate. A lot of those properties have moved on to new ownership, but many others are coming into the market from those people that have more, stable properties. Yep.
Yeah. So where do you see um, the senior living business going. Obviously we're hitting a point where the need is truly increasing. The consumer demand for um, assisted living communities, senior living communities in general. But where do you see, based on your 30 plus years of experience in this, sometimes we see trends that recycle, and sometimes we see new things developing.
Yeah. The one thing I have seen, you've seen it too, Joel, is that this is a dynamic business. It has adapted to economic conditions, demographics, financing availability, all of that. And it'll continue to be a very dynamic business into the future. But where I see it going immediately is really some, I don't know if I dare say boom, but for years, I can still remember back in the early 90s when somebody said, that sounds like a really good business, because just think about the baby boomers, right? And this was way back when my mother is a baby boomer. She's at the beginning of the baby boomers. She is not quite 80 years old. She does not need assisted living these days, but it's something that she's aware of and sees that it may be necessary for she and my dad at some point. And that's just coming. That wave is just beginning. So I see a lot of opportunity if you're a good operator to expand your business, if that's what you want to do. I see great opportunity for those entrepreneurs that want to come in and find a better way to do it, just like we all did. We came up with what we thought at the time, better ways of doing things. And so that will continue as well. So, uh, what will happen? I'm not smart enough to say exactly what will happen, but I can tell you that it'll keep changing, it'll keep growing, and demand is going to do nothing but grow over the next 20 years or so.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said your parents haven't quite reached that point, and fortunately, unfortunately, my parents did reach that point about a year and a half ago, and because of needs that my dad had, and so he recently passed away, and now my mom, who actually still manages some properties, who's almost 80 years old herself, um, decided she's going to continue to live in the community she's at because she had some made so many friends, and she's we set up the schedule. I call her every day, um, which now turns into about half of the days because she's very busy. She has a very busy social life, and it's really great. I am happy that she's not at home isolated after my dad passed away, and she stays busy and has friends and all of those things. Um, and I truly believe as operators, you have to know your niche. If you like larger campuses and like doing that, know your niche and do that. If you like smaller, more personalized, hands-on, um, homes versus communities, you know, stick to what you know and run with it. And I think that's where operators are evolving to is truly better understanding what their niche is um and rolling with that. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, a couple of thoughts, and I'm often coaching people that want to get into assisted living, into senior living. Say, well, tell me more about what specifically you want to do, because they haven't answered that question. What's your niche? Small, large, um, high end, independent, there's so many things. And you really do need to zero in on that and understand that. And if you don't know what I'm talking about when I mention those things, then I try to take them back over to senior care school and help them educate themselves a little bit more before stepping too far in. But what you mentioned also, Joel, just another thought on this, a little left turn maybe, but is just what I've seen as a myth of senior living over the years, over decades actually too. The idea, and it's still out there, although I think it certainly is different than it used to be, that moving to senior living is somehow giving up your independence or conceding something. It's the residents that I've seen move to many, many senior living communities have such an improvement in lifestyle, in health. in certainly in community, in relationships, and hearing the story of your mom, that it just inspires me. It warms my heart again for her personally, but also for the many other people that need to hear about that too. That there are such great options. Many of the senior living communities I've toured, I've often thought, what a great place. I mean, some of the newer style, apartment style living, much younger people might be attracted to that kind of assistance and just moving some of the daily challenges off their plate so they can fully enjoy life otherwise. Yeah, I think it's exciting times.
I had the opportunity to go visit a friend down in Fort Myers. Was it, I think, 2 years ago I came and stayed with you?
It sounds about right.
Um,
Yes.
and, we toured the community that you guys have a place in, and, I was pretty amazed at how active and how busy it is. I have another friend that moved into, the Villages when his, father-in-law got, stage 4 lung cancer, and they rented a place, and he was 48 years old at the time, and I started watching his, social media, and he's posting all these pictures and videos of their active lifestyle, and they were spending more time there than they were in their house in Kansas City, and then, uh, when he was 52, they decided to sell their house in Kansas City and move into a place in the Villages. And I said, "Hold on, I thought that was 55 plus. How does that work?" And explained everything, and I was like, "Wow, that's." And they just love the 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 active lifestyle, I guess, of having a lot of friends and things going on, and obviously golf courses and everything else available, um, and the weather being quite nice throughout the year. So, I've had this opportunities to open my eyes personally and see that, the newer um, focus of the independent living for the senior population is truly very similar to high end market rate apartments, and condos. It There's a few modifications, a few house rules and things like that, but other than that, the granite countertops, a gas range, walk-in closets, all the things you expect, dog walking station and a place to fix your bike in the, underground parking. All of those things are fire pits and swimming pools. All those are now expected. Um, and, fitness room and movie theater, all the things that you would see in higher end, um, multifamily is now a standard part of senior living, and it's pretty great to see that evolution.
Yeah, yeah, we experience so much of that. As you pointed out, I'm down here in Florida. I'm a snowbird, my wife and I, and we love the community we're in, and it's a 55 plus community. Now, I moved in here just a few months prior to my 55th birthday, and it might sound a little crazy, but there's a lot of people in our community here that are here by choice because of that convenience. And it's a vibrant community. I can't keep up. I'm still working a lot of the time because I love what I do, but I have a lot of people here that are around me that are fully retired, and I'm constantly pulled because of all the activities that I'm invited out to and things to do. That it's a good challenge. It's a great challenge to have. But yeah, senior living and 55 plus, it's changed a lot, I think, and it continues because there are new communities popping up. Certainly down here in Florida, we hear about them. Everything you just mentioned, Joel, and more is being is available as far as amenities and opportunities for activities and so on. It creates a beautiful lifestyle of kind of getting rid of some of the uh, chores that many of us have had as we had the 2-story home in Wisconsin where we raised our kids, and my gosh, once you are done with that, you realize how much time that took out of opportunities to do other things, whether it's just fun or learning things or new hobbies or whatever. It's a great place to be in. Yeah.
Well, I truly appreciate our conversation, Mike. As always, it's been fun and interesting, and always some tidbits to take away. I truly appreciate your time, and thanks again for joining me today on NextGen by NuCare. So, Mike, tell us where, if people want to contact you or follow you and get a hold of you, where would they do that?
Easiest way is just my website, seniorcaremike.com, and all my contact info is right there. So seniorcaremike.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. I truly appreciate it. I look forward to getting back down and visiting again in Fort Myers. Seeing you back here in Wisconsin when you're here as well, and continuing our conversations about as this business continues to evolve over time.
Sounds good. Thanks for the opportunity, Joel. Always great to chat with you.
You can follow us at NextGen by NuCare. We'd love for you to like, subscribe, and follow us on our podcast. See some of our reels on LinkedIn, on NuCare Senior Living, on NextGen Provider Solutions. Get great insight from Mike and many other masterminds here in senior living.